Hey there guys, Zach here from WinBeta, and welcome to episode 25 of the WinBeta podcast for the week of July 24th, 2015. With me is Sean.
Hey there.
And this week we'll be talking about, as per usual, Windows 10, as well as the Microsoft banned version 2, which is confirmed to be in the works now, and a number of other stories, which I should probably get the list up so I can actually...
Bunch of Surface stuff this week.
Bunch of Surface stuff. The flagship, the upcoming Lumia flagship, and the RTM. We're talking about more about the RTM in detail, about how it is actually the RTM, and other good stuff as per usual. So Sean, how was your week?
It was a pretty crazy week. You know, usually we just go through the pleasantries, but actually I moved from the UK to the US. I'm here for a month and a half. So I had a day where I started my journey at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and did not arrive until 3:30 p.m. the next day.
Wow.
And now I am in America and I got to surprise my mom, which is nice. She didn't know I was coming home. So yeah, it was a pretty busy week for me, but a good week. How about you?
Usual week. Same place. I haven't traveled across the world to bring you a live podcast, sadly. So, oh well. But good news, there's a lot of news this week.
Some weeks we don't have a lot of news, some weeks we do.
This week this is the last podcast before the official launch of Windows 10.
I said, this is the last podcast before Ninja Cats come into your house and sneakily update all your devices.
If only that was how it worked.
How do you know?
I just noticed, this is the 25th podcast.
It's true.
That means
big episode.
If you tune into the live podcasts as well, you have been watching us for over a day now. That is dedication, I think. So thanks for listening, guys. That is absolutely awesome. And let's talk about some Windows 10 stuff. So recently, Microsoft didn't announce Windows 10 had RTM'd. It came out in a report unofficially that Windows 10 had RTM'd. And Microsoft, with those who have been following Microsoft for a long time now, they know that usually when Windows 10 reaches RTM, it's announced, and it's usually a big deal. With Windows XP, the RTM was delivered to OEMs on a golden disc via helicopter, which I think is pretty overkill, but that did happen. And with Windows Vista, I think a similar thing happened, not of helicopters, but it was a big public physical announcement. With Windows 7, it was kind of less physical. It was an online blog post. Hello, we've RTM'd Windows 7. Same with Windows 8 and with 8.1. But with Windows 10, this hasn't happened, and it won't happen now. And the reason that it hasn't, and Microsoft, annoys me how they're doing this. Instead of just admitting that there is an RTM, but they're not going to talk about it publicly, they are telling us journalists, as well as the public, that there is no RTM, which is completely untrue, and it's terrible that they're actually even saying that. I asked Microsoft for a comment, and the spokespeople, okay, great, they go and try and find a comment from a person higher up. And then they get back to you and say, oh yeah, this is the comment. And the comment's usually just... Sometimes it's useful. And when they come back and say there is no such thing as RTM with Windows 10, it's just not useful. So I did an article this week which explains the process with the RTM on Windows 10. Build 10,240 is indeed the RTM. I've spoken about this before. It is 100% the RTM. For those who don't know what RTM means, it's released to manufacturing. This is the milestone of development with Windows that, when reached, means Microsoft have gone, okay, this is ready to go out to OEMs to preload onto machines, which are then sold on shelves on a certain launch dates, for example, on July 29th. So in itself, build 10,240 is the RTM. That is the build that the public will receive on... actually, I say that it will receive an updated version of 10.240 on the July 29th. But devices on store shelves on July 29th, those who have pre-ordered devices that would be delivered to their house, will have build 10,240 on there. And that's pretty much it. That means Windows 10 build 10,240 is the RTM. And the reason I wrote this article was because I received a ton of complaints from people telling me that I'm wrong and that I should just not do this anymore and I should just retire or whatever. And Windows 10.240 is not the RTM. I was like, oh, okay, so I'm going to write this article. And a bunch of other people wrote similar articles after me. I was first. But yeah, that's what happened. And that's how I fixed the world. So it's the RTM, so shh, thank you.
Well, doesn't that make sense?
Seriously, if a build that gets sent to OEMs to preload onto new hardware that's sold to the public, that is RTM in itself. There is no other thing about it. The reason is with Windows 10 is that with the Windows as a Surface module, they kind of don't want to advertise that there is a finished product.
Well, let me ask you, Zach. This is kind of your advocate, I guess, here. What does RTM stand for?
Release to manufacturing.
And what did they do with this build?
Release to manufacturing.
Therefore,
build 10240 is RTM. That should have been the entire article, just that.
You could have just tweeted that, be like, RTM stands for release to manufacturing. They've released this to manufacturers. Just embed that tweet and just drop the mic.
No, but I understand people's confusion, and with Microsoft adding to the confusion, it doesn't help. But with the Windows as a Surface module, Windows is never done. So with the RTM does actually stand for something different this time. Although it is the same principle, they have released it to manufacturers. This wouldn't usually be the RTM build. They would still Microsoft would still have at least a couple years, not a couple years, like less than 2 years of development of Windows 10 if this was a traditional development cycle. Windows 7 had 3 years of development. Windows 8 had 3 years of development. And only recently with 8.1 and 10 have they only had a year development. So technically, when Microsoft started out with Windows 10 development, they had a whole list of things that they wanted in Windows 10. And as time got by, that list got shorter and shorter as they were taking things out and putting them in future updates as they would not have time to finalize everything for the July 29th launch. So things like, we had news for this today actually, the Universal Messaging app is coming later this summer. That was originally supposed to be in the RTM, but because of time constraints and like obviously resources, they can't focus on everything. They took that feature out, a number of other features that were not publicly announced and other stuff, and they took them out. Said, okay, we'll put them in for future updates. So they. But if
that was the definition, if that was the definition of RTM, like when it was finished, then I will be using it on my device, and it won't be RTM.
Yeah, but but this is the thing with the Windows the RTM is technically just a starting point now for OEMs. Microsoft, otherwise Windows 10 would be in development forever, and there would never be a point in which Microsoft would go, okay, this is for the public. So they had to, about a month before RTM, the engineers, they dropped all like adding new features. They said, okay, all of these features that we're working on are for later updates now. Everything we've got in the operating system already is to be finalized and stabilized before July 29th. So for about a month before the RTM date, they were working on everything already in the build and stabilizing it, fixing code, fixing bugs, and all of that good stuff. So build 10240 isn't an unstable. I mean, many people are having issues, but then again, that's the case of every single version of Windows in history. That's nothing new. Windows 10 build 10240. 10240's code should be fine, and on launch day, Microsoft is still working on patches for a day one update, which will be sent out to people to upgrade on day one, which will fix more bugs and stuff. But with the RTM of Windows 10, although it had a feature list this big, it's now a feature list this big, and those features are coming in later updates. Therefore, what's in build 10240 is done. End of story. Moving on.
Okay, well, we can just move on because I completely agree with you. I think it's just kind of ridiculous that like people are arguing with on it. We talked about that last week. It's like we all know what it is. Like, as I said, RTM, we know what it stands for.
I mean, people are interested. People are confused, and that story that we just spoke about was, I think, one of the most popular stories this week. So, I mean, those who are confused, I understand because they are doing it differently this year or this time round. So it does actually need explaining. So I don't blame people who are confused, but those who are telling me that I should retire and that I'm completely wrong, I don't appreciate that. I know what I'm talking about sometimes, guys, I promise.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, if you have a sec, do you want to include our poll results here from this week?
I think we should, because that's the whole
Thank you. It's the only Windows 10 story that we have. So this week we had a poll on which feature from Windows 10 most excites you, and the choices were, let's see here, we got virtual desktop. Hold on one sec, sorry. We had virtual desktop, start menu, apps on the desktop, and Cortana. And to be honest, I checked these just about an hour ago. It is almost exactly 30-30-30 split. I think the most recent number that I checked was like after over 2,000 votes, 31%, 30, and 29, which at that size of a sample size is basically a tie.
So, Sean, what's the most popular feature?
technically the start menu by like 1%.
Yeah,
so it was the start menu, apps on the desktop, and Cortana were all really close to 30%. It was 31, like 30, and then
I actually tuned into the podcast result, not the podcast, yeah, the poll results. Sorry, yesterday when it just, I think, or whenever it first went out, and by the time I'd looked, it had about 1,000 votes, and the start menu and Cortana were both, no, the start menu, was it windowed apps, the other option?
Yeah,
the start menu and Windows app were dead on exactly.
There was a point earlier today. I was hoping this could be the case. It was literally 30, 30, 30, 10.
Yeah.
But virtual desktops, meh. I would also point out we kind of had a lot of write-in candidates. So like honorary mention to what's it called, DX12.
DirectX 12, yes.
Yeah, because that's a big thing for a lot of people. And there's a ton of other features. We had to have like a conversation amongst like our staff on what 4 items to even include in the poll, because there are so many.
We only had 4 to choose from.
Yeah, on Straw,
we would have had more otherwise.
4, or you kind of start fragmenting votes, I guess. But so it ended up with that. So there's the poll results here. It was essentially a tie. Technically, the winner was the start menu. If it was an election, I think in the UK, we'd have to have a runoff vote, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in America, I guess you just give it to, I don't know. So, yeah, there's that about the poll results there. So that's it for Windows 10 this week, huh? That's quite rare.
Forever. We're not talking about Windows 10 anymore.
Ever, really, I think next week we should just take Windows 10 off.
Yeah, next week. Maybe we shouldn't even have a podcast. Maybe we should have a break. There's nothing big happening next week.
It's summertime.
Yeah, I'm going out. To a Windows 10 party, surprisingly.
Yeah. Actually, I might actually go to a Windows 10 party next week.
Let's just go party. Why not?
I might. There's a really big Windows store in Tyson's Corner.
Oh yes, the Microsoft stores are doing huge celebrations, aren't they?
Yeah, and so yes, I might actually just go to one.
I might be at the Windows 10 London launch party on Wednesday next week. So if you're interested in going to that, you may see me there, and we may be able to hang, which will be fun.
I think it's the Tyson's Corner. I think it's that one. Their Microsoft store is having a member of the U.S. women's national team that just won the World Cup there.
Right. Oh, wow.
So she was tweeting about like, I'm going to be at the event, and it's like, wow, that's a pretty big draw.
Next up, Beyonce.
She plays, I believe, for the Washington Spirit, which is the women's football or soccer, depending where you are, team in this area. So it's a little bit easier, I guess, to get her in this, but it's a big draw. So I might go to that. Depends when I finish work. We're going to have so many stories to do that day.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on from Windows 10 a little bit. Obviously, everything's connected to Windows 10. Everything's connected to Windows 10.
Windows 1.
Yeah, Terminator Genesis. Yeah. Anyway, so the Surface, we actually have 3 Surface stories this week. We'll start out with the Surface earnings report. I just want to briefly, we're not like financial stuff. I read the reports. We covered the reports. We have articles on the reports. I don't want to do like a super advanced breakdown.
Me and numbers, we aren't friends.
Yeah. So for anyone, if this is like your key source of Windows news and then you go off based on that, with Lumias, which aren't Surfaces yet.
We should also talk about the panel stuff. Yeah, we'll do that afterwards.
So Lumia sales numbers, like the number of devices that they sold, went up. But the amount of money they made went down, which is mixed bag of news, not as bad as it could be, but they're selling low-budget devices, so and mid-range. The Surface, on the other hand, went up in everything. So this from our article, it says, Microsoft indicates in the report that Surface revenue has grown 117%, which means that it's more than double what it was, because it's growing by over 100%, to $888 million. So it's approaching that billion-dollar mark in just a quarter. The report also states that the Surface was one of the divisions that helped offset the decreased revenue from the Windows Phone hardware. So Surface Phone revenue for the full year 2015 was $3.6 billion, which is up 65% from the previous year. So I think it's needless to say that the Surface is doing rather well.
Which is good news.
It's also a little bit, it's not surprising when you hold the device, because to be honest, when you hold a Surface Pro 3 or a Surface 3, they're really good devices. And to me, there isn't much of a shock that they would be considered successful. But, I guess like the first two, how do you want to count that? The Surface RT and Surface 2 and the Surface Pro 1 and 2 weren't great in terms of sales. I think they actually didn't have to do a bunch of write-offs.
Yes, the $900 million write-down was
right.
with the original Surface RT. But that's only because of RT. I mean, Microsoft made big bets on Windows RT and it failed dramatically, which, interesting, we're going to talk about in just a minute. So, so yeah, that was a huge write-down. The original Surface RT, and the Surface Pro, I believe, did better than the RT. But, I mean, overall, it was still a write-down. There were massive amounts of money lost.
As opposed to the Surface Now.
Oh, yeah, Surface Now is
premium line of, like, I don't want to say perfect, but, I mean, they're up there with anything in my book.
And
I mean,
let's be fair, the reason it's this good now is thanks to the Surface Pro 3. That was really the device that got it rolling.
Right,
and then you saw the...
and then the Surface 3 took a ton of cues from the Surface Pro 3. Even things like changing to silver, I think, to get people out of that cheaper looking black plastic look. They switched to that premium look in the Surface 3, multi kickstand, that sort of thing, even more. So yeah, I mean, I think the Surface, we're going to go and just go. I'm really excited for the next Surface line.
I can't wait for the Surface phone.
That'll hopefully.
Well, I mean, Panos Panay is now in charge of all of the hardware.
Right.
And that is exciting news. That means Panos Panay, the guy who makes Lumia, not Lumia, the guy who makes Surface, is now in charge of Lumia. That can only mean good things for the hardware.
I would certainly hope so.
Yeah.
We'll get into some of the rumors about the next phone, but even those kind of have like a little bit of a surfacey feel to them anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Although, I mean, before we move on to the next story, can we just take a look at that?
What is this?
It's the Ninja Cat. That is awesome.
For any of our audio listeners, maybe we could tweet this out after this.
Cadenza did that. Thank you, Cadenza.
Someone has made a the Ninja Cat.
Yeah, as me, I'm on the podcast screen. It's pretty funny and awesome. Awesome, guys.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Right, on the heels of Windows RT failing, let's talk about the upcoming update for Windows RT. So this week, I spoke to a few people because I am annoyed at Microsoft for not detailing this mysterious update 3 for Windows 8.1 or Windows RT 8.1, and so I did a bit of digging and found out a couple things. The update 3 isn't going to be as spectacular as originally thought. I mean, people were expecting great Windows 10 features like Universal App Platform, Continuum, all this good stuff, and that's not coming. Sadly, none of that is coming. Windows RT 8.1, that's a really long name. Windows RT 8.1 Update 3 will introduce we'll reintroduce the start menu to the RT platform. But it's not the start menu in the Windows 10 RTM, it's the start menu found on the first few Windows 10 technical preview builds. So the build 9841, the direct to UI start menu. And the reason this is because the new Windows 10 RTM start menu is built upon a new code base using a bunch of new different APIs only specific to Windows 10, whereas the direct UI start menu was actually built with Windows 8.1 in mind because it was originally supposed to be an update for Windows 8.1. Well, was supposed to be in an update for Windows 8.1. So they've just taken that start menu, smacked it on RT, and gone, okay, so that's good enough. That's the only feature I was told. The big feature I was told that's coming, and all the other things that I mentioned that aren't coming, I was specifically told are not coming. So that there could be a couple other smaller things coming, which I haven't had clarification on. But I mean, let's be fair, the only thing that will be big enough to actually talk about is the start menu, and that's coming in RT. Now, the reason this is because Windows RT is dead. The user base of Windows RT is so small that they can afford to be this cheap with the upcoming update and not have any major backlash from it. Because the user base of RT is so small, people who complain it won't get far, and Microsoft will not, they could have had the mobile SKU come along with it, but that would take a long time to get working on the RT devices.
Yeah, well, you're also talking about, you're getting to the point now that the devices that ran Surface RT are getting a little bit old. I mean, obviously the Surface 2 is not that old.
The Surface RT is...
But the Surface RT is pretty old.
Yeah.
The Surface 2 is kind of old. And the Surface 3, they switched to Windows 8.1. So, and then there was a Lumia, was it the 2520 and the... Was that it?
The 2520, and I mean, a few OEMs did a bunch of other devices, but I mean, like OEMs pulled out of the RT market,
right?
Really
exactly.
Quickly.
So yeah, I mean, I feel bad if you like spent money on a device and then it doesn't get supported. Like, and I mean, in a different timeline, in a different universe where Microsoft had a very large market in some of these platforms, you could have had nice RT tablets. But I would point out that Windows RT failing is one of the reasons you get a Surface 3.
Yeah.
With Windows 8.1. It's one of the reasons why when you move forward, the non-pro version of the Surface can run full computer things as long as you're not doing really heavy-duty stuff. And so because RT failed, out of the ashes of RT burning to the ground, like a rising phoenix, we've gained the Surface 3 as well as a plethora of other devices. So I mean, I like it.
Windows RT failing is unfortunate because the idea was, cheap. I say cheap; they were all expensive when they first came out. Cheap tablets that were very secure and only ran tablet apps, and that vision failed because developers were not on board, people weren't on board, and it completely failed. So interestingly though, the start menu coming in update 3 is actually really nice. It's it works with touch. I mean, those who tried out build 9841 and the early Windows 10 builds on a touchscreen would know that. And I actually use the Surface. I don't use the Surface RT anymore as a tablet. I use it as an Office machine because it has Office on it. It comes with Office, and I just use Office on it. It's now, and being able to have the start menu there will be kind of easy, especially on the desktop with Office and stuff, even though it's a Windows RT based device. Mm-hmm. So those Windows RT users who use the tablet as a tablet, nothing will change, I don't think, because the start screen will still be there. They're not taking the start screen away. It will still be there. The start menu will be an optional thing that requires signing out and in. So
it's a shame they couldn't bring tablet mode from Windows 10 over to RT.
If they were doing that, they might as well just bring Windows 10.
That's also true, but doesn't ruin my, doesn't change my dream. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, it's great someone spent a few $100s and then their device isn't getting upgraded. Like, that sucks. But there are benefits to them moving on. Yeah, and because of how Windows has developed, they almost have to, because the app gap is there. You really need Windows 8.1 devices and Windows 10 devices.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few questions in the comment stream. Some are asking about the Windows 10 upgrade from Windows 7. Someone said, does Windows 7 Pro get Windows 10 first? Everybody gets Windows 10 at the same time.
Within a day or two. Yeah.
And someone else, will Windows 8.1 with Bing run Windows 10 normally? Yes, it will get Windows 10 home. Okay, moving on.
We actually had a whole I don't know where it is now. I don't have it up, but we actually have a whole article somewhere breaking down, if you have X, you will get Y. Yes. So if you have 8.1 with Bing or whatever, we have an article that breaks that down. You could find it, on the site there, and it's a much more extensive thing than we could do here without it having it in front of us. But anyway, more Surface news, Zach.
Hooray!
Did you know that we might actually get a Surface 4 in the future? A Surface Pro 4, rather?
No way.
Yeah, we talked about it
my hopes have been down for a while now about this.
So remember when we did that story about how it might actually be next year?
Yes.
Turns out it actually might be this year. But we still have no idea. Let me put it this way. I will say this right now. We have received reports of Windows or Surface Pro 4 devices that are on date to ship this October. And then there are other, I would say, in my opinion, more reputable journalists that say, I haven't heard anything about a Surface Pro 4. So you kind of get one, you kind of get the other. So take this with shaker of salt, grain of salt, however much you want. Get a whole Morton's tub of salt for all I care. Just know that this might not be this year. This is just based on the latest rumors and speculations. I believe the source was it Digitimes?
Yeah, something like that. They usually do.
So just be aware that this is with a grain of salt. So there's that. So here's some details that we do have, though. So they said that electronics, let's see. The makers of the components have received large orders for September shipments with an expected October launch date. The new Surface tablet will feature the same ultra-thin form factor, bezel size, and large display as the predecessor model and will come with Intel's new Skylake processor and Windows 10, which, if true, would be a big deal. And would be the first device with that chip, yeah?
Maybe. Possibly. I mean, as long as it has like the Windows Hello support.
Right. And then it says, if, obviously this is true, 256 gigabytes on the SSD, and it says that the shipment numbers says Microsoft has been shipping 200 to 250,000 units per month for the Surface Pro 3, and that number went up to above 300,000 units with the addition of the Surface 3, and the addition of the Surface Pro 4 model is expected to have that number rise again to 500 to 600,000 units per month. So, like we said, some of these might not be true. Honestly, we've heard reports from both sides. These numbers don't seem that crazy. It doesn't seem like this report's saying something that is blatantly false at its face, but it's not confirmed by Microsoft or anything. Do you think they're going to ship a Surface Pro 4 this year or next year, Zach?
This year.
This year? You think so?
This year.
Why?
Because last year was Surface Pro 3, and it makes sense to be on a yearly release cycle. And, I mean, I'm surprised it hasn't even come out yet. I mean, it should have been out by now, but I'm definitely thinking that later this year, I'm thinking alongside the new Windows 10 phone flagships and the Microsoft Band version 2. Microsoft later this year is going to have a frenzy of new hardware, I think, and it's going to be great, and I'm going to have no money left after it.
I would have loved if when Windows 10 came out, a Surface Pro 4 was with it, and when Windows 10 Mobile came out, a Lumia flagship came with it.
I mean, that's the idea with the mobile side. Not Windows 10, sadly, though, on the desktop.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a Surface Pro 4 right now. That's announced. The specs seem fine. 256 is pretty good.
I mean, I imagine the Surface Pro 4 would look very similar to the Surface Pro 3. I don't think they're going to be changing the dimensions.
Well, that's the thing, is it's the form factor. It's the Surface 3 is going to stay in that 10.5-inch range, so the non-Pro line's, I think, going to stay there. And then the Surface Pro line is going to be that 12-inch.
Yeah, and I doubt there will be any difference to the thickness, because I believe Satya Nadella did say a while ago now that the accessories with the Surface Pro 3 will work with future devices, so they can't really change any hardware now, because the Surface Pro 3 accessories should, in theory, work with the Surface Pro 4.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it'd be a PR train wreck if they said that. Basically, what they said is enterprises can invest in docking stations because they're going to work with future devices.
Yeah.
But what happens when the Surface Pro line switches to USB Type-C?
Uh-oh.
That's what I mean. It's like, even if the size is the same, would you get a retrofit the docking station? Or, I don't know what you do. You refund them? I mean, I don't know what they'll do, because eventually they're going to switch to Type-C, right? I mean, everyone's going to switch to Type-C eventually.
I imagine so, yeah.
I mean, the flagship phones might be switching to Type-C this year.
And yeah, I mean, it's going to happen.
So it's not like it wouldn't. If they told me that the Surface Pro 4 or the Surface Pro 5 had USB Type-C, I wouldn't be surprised. But you say, how do you rectify that with the docking? You just told businesses they could spend thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky.
Yeah, so they'll have to figure out something. Yeah, I hope it comes out this year. It'd be a great premiere device to show if it just put everything in there. Hello, Iris, infrared cameras, great mics for Cortana, perfectly optimized for Windows, everything else. I hope it's there. Holiday season, put in some good ads. Have you noticed that the Microsoft ad campaign for Windows 10 is actually pretty good?
Yeah, I like it.
We make fun of Microsoft ads a lot. And we both say that we have better ones.
They're very simple. I mean, we do. Let's be fair. We have.
That's true. But these are pretty good.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Yeah.
Not their worst work. Let's put it that way.
I like that. The one with the kids and the doing stuff, and that. Yeah, it's good. The I do coming out of the windows because the I and the do are capital.
Yeah.
That's clever.
I do 10.
I do 10. They got the social media. What's it called with the profile pictures where you can get the I do 10.
I have one of them. They're pretty great.
And we got a Ninja Cat story later. That's a thing. So I mean, they got some good stuff going right now.
Yeah,
anyway,
they do.
So yeah, we mentioned the flagship stuff. So there's some news on that this week as well.
There is. I'm trying to load the article right now. So yeah, this week, here's what kicked off this whole flagship story. This week there was a report, leaking specs of the supposed 530, the 550, the 750, and the 850 Lumia devices. Those devices aren't coming. They've been cancelled for a while now. So in light of that, Daniel Rubino from Windows Central did this really detailed report on what's actually happening with the future of Lumia. And he speaks about the cancelled devices, saying they are cancelled and stuff. And he also goes over the upcoming flagships. And these flagships, there is a with the report they did a draw up. It's not an actual shot of the upcoming Cityman Lumia device, but it's like a mock up drawing, and it looks really good. Very thinner than the current Lumia, or slightly thinner, I believe. It looks more like the Lumia 830 on the back, and this is the 5.7 inch model we're talking about here, and it will come in white and I think cyan. EvLeaks said something about it coming in cyan, and it will have the very similar to the Surface 3 logo. So it will have this square,
right? Yeah, a little Windowsy logo there. Yeah.
Instead of having Lumia, and on the front it will have Microsoft like branding underneath the speaker grill. The specs are still the same. For those who don't know, do we have them here? Yes. For those who don't know, the Cityman will be a 5.7 inch WQHD OLED display, Snapdragon 810 64-bit octa-core processor with an iris scanner, 3 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of internal storage, 20 megapixel PureView rear camera with triple LED flash, a 1 millimeter silver ring inside the circumference of the black camera pod. I don't know why that's a specification, but fair enough. Aluminum side buttons, 5 megapixel wide angle front facing camera, 3,300 milliamp hour battery. 33,000, that's crazy.
That'd be a bit much.
Qi wireless charging and USB Type-C, and that's for the Cityman. The Talkman's a similar device, but slightly lower. I say slightly lower end, it's still really high end. Slightly smaller screen, still a WQHD, Snapdragon 808 64-bit hexa-core processor, an iris scanner again, 3 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes storage, PureView 20 megapixel, 5 megapixel wide angle front facing, 3,000 milliamp hour battery, and everything else is the same. So very similar devices. The Cityman is like the larger version with slightly upped specs, but both devices will be super powerful for Windows 10. Should both support Continuum whenever that's a thing.
Yeah. Also, maybe you mentioned this, and there was just so much that I missed it. Cityman also stylus support. Yeah.
Oh yes, I didn't mention that. Yes, the Cityman. So this is specific to the Cityman. The Talkman will not have this, but right. According to Windows Central, the Cityman will have a stylus support. So like the Surface 3 pen, which I have here, it will have support for pens, and I imagine Microsoft will use the same technology that it uses with the Surface 3 pen.
I would hope so. Microsoft actually, probably about 2 months ago now, actually bought the specific stylus technology from Intrig. They didn't buy Intrig. They just that stylus, which shows to me that technology was very important to them. So I would hope that it'd be integrated with that. There aren't a lot of other options out there. I mean, it would seem odd.
This is good. This works.
Yeah. I mean, why would you buy Intrig's stylus technology and then use something else?
Yeah. I'm very excited for pen support on the Cityman, because as somebody who has to take notes a lot, it's kind of a bit clunky to have to get a big surface and open it up and start writing on a big thing. It would just be easier to especially go to like events, social events, if I have to interview someone there, just to take notes on your phone, just like on a little notepad. And then
and 5.7 is not massive, but I think it's big enough to write some notes on.
It's bigger than it. It's 0.7 inches bigger than this, so it's not as big as the 1520, but quite. Is there a 5.5 inch Lumia right now?
And 5.2, I think, is the biggest. Other than the 1520, I think it was 5.2 and then the 1520.
Right, so there's not a 5.7 yet.
I don't think so.
So yeah, that'll be a new size range for the Lumia devices.
I think
the iris scanner stuff is very interesting, because I'm not sure if it lines up in time with the other stuff. Anyway, yeah, that's for another thing.
Yeah, I wonder with Windows 10 mobile and all that, you want another device that shows all the features. I think things like stylus support, you have to look at these two things. One, it has to be a few things. It has to be a great device. It has to be marketable. and it has to be able to compete with other high-end devices. So things like people have pointed out Snapdragon 808 instead of 810 on the one of them, right? Mm-hmm. And then 810 on the higher one, and you sit there and say, well, is that going to compete? And those are the numbers people talk about. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference for most people, but you can't just say Continuum, this feature you've never heard of is on this phone, therefore you should want to buy it. As much as it might not be the most accurate way to sell a phone, you need to be able to say, here are the numbers for the iPhone, here are the numbers for our phone, they're about the same. What's different? And then you say, oh, well, can the iPhone... you remember the Surface ads when they used to say, like, oh, I have a USB and a kickstand, and then the iPad's like there, and she's like, I don't have that. Yeah. And they could, maybe not the same campaign, but somehow portray that message of like, oh, you got an iPhone? That's cool. Can it be a computer? And it's like, no, it can't do that. That's the premise that they're going to be going for. But you can't say, oh, you have an iPhone, that's cool, but do you have a mid-range plastic phone that can be a computer? And so they need to be the same plus. Even though personally I like plastic bodies, but I think for the premium look they prefer metal. Yeah. Or, you know what they could do? Carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber phones. That's what they need. Anyway. We have more hardware news. A lot of hardware news this week, Zach.
Yeah.
There's some reports out there that they might be working on the Microsoft Band 2 sooner than we thought. We already knew that it was coming. Kevin Turner has confirmed, and he did it in a very public setting, that they're working on the Microsoft Band 2. So we already knew that was happening. But according to Gadget Arena, it's I think GDGT Arena, so I'm going to say hopefully those vowels make Gadget. The production of the Microsoft Band has halted, allowing them to focus on the Microsoft Band 2, which I would point out is not the official name, though is likely. Reportedly, once current stock is gone out of those locations, there won't be any more shipments of the device. And then once they're done with any refurbished devices, they'll just be out of stock until the Microsoft Band 2 is released later this year. There's no release date at the moment. All we know is that there are reports that production of the Band 1 has stopped so they can focus, which makes sense. Why would they keep making the Band 1 if the Band 2 is around? Yeah. I suspect it'll be done probably the fourth quarter of this year is my prediction for the Band 2, but that's just me guessing. That's not based on any sources.
Along with everything else this year.
Wouldn't that be great?
Just one day, one big announcement. Microsoft announces the Surface Pro 4, the Band 2, the Lumia 950, the Surface Pro... Did I say the Surface Pro 4?
Yeah, and then the Lumia 950 XL.
Yeah, XL. 950 XL. Oh. And then they announce the upcoming Windows 10 update. And then...
I just saw some. Sorry, I said, what if they called it the Lumia 950 XL? And then they optimized it with the stylus to work with XL.
That would be a very specific market they're advertising for there.
You could have the Lumia
Do you
Word.
Use XL?
The Lumia Word. The Lumia OneNote. The Lumia Power BI.
The Lumia Zune. No. No. The Lumia Groove. That'd be a good... Oh, with a really good
this
speaker.
Is why they need us, Zach. In any event, I don't know. I want a Microsoft Band 2. I think it'd be great.
I do as well.
A couple rumors that are out there right now. Ooh, some people saying curved display.
Oh, that'd be nice. I hope it's thinner. I just want it to be thinner.
Yeah, my wish list: thin display, thin body, curved display, Windows 10 IoT. That'd be my wish list.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's pretty much... I'm not sure about the IoT stuff. I think the band software's fine as it is. Running the Silverlight stuff, it does. But no, I guess IoT...
Aren't they moving away from Silverlight, though?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know.
I mean, Edge does Edge even support Silverlight?
I have no idea.
Anyway, so I think they're moving away from Silverlight. So I would hope the next one would be somewhere on that Windows 10 spectrum. So yeah, there's that. More hardware stuff.
Oh, yes. Guess what? PC gamers, listen to this and laugh. Or, well, not laugh. We can laugh at you as an Xbox gamers. Phil Spencer on Twitter earlier this week.
He's Phil Spencer.
Yeah. Announced that keyboard and mouse support is on the way. Meaning, well, I imagine this means that they will soon, as an Xbox gamer, I will soon be able to plug in a mouse and keyboard and play games with a mouse and keyboard, just like a PC gamer.
I would hope so. Is that what it actually means?
I mean, he doesn't go into specifics, but I mean, I don't know why he would say the Xbox is a gaming console. For him to say it's coming to Xbox and then not have it for games would be a bit weird. So,
or it's like, no. What are you saying? The mouse is just for navigation between the apps. Like, what are you talking about?
You just so you can message your friends with the keyboard. You can't play games. That's silly. Why would you even assume? No, but yeah, I imagine it's for gaming, and that's very exciting. That's one less thing PC gamers have over Xbox users.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
What if they brought mouse and keyboard gaming support to the Xbox One, and then also brought the universal versions of Office onto the Xbox One?
You could be doing your work and playing a game.
You know what? I'm willing to bet that there's a college student out there that would try to convince his parents, Mom and Dad, you need to buy me an Xbox One because it works with my keyboard and mouse. It has Office on it so I can do work. And it's a video game console, so you don't have to buy me multiple devices.
You know what? That is a very good idea. That could be another marketing thing for Microsoft.
See? It's like for Christmas.
Gaming, what do you want for entertainment, and work in one.
Exactly. Because Word is not a powerful... I can understand if it can't handle maybe Photoshop, I guess. You know, that's or full Premiere Pro. I could get that if it didn't support some of those more powerful things, but Word, I mean, it runs on your phone. I mean, Word's not powerful. You're telling me I can run Word on a phone, but I can't run Word on an Xbox? Come on. Make me justify this purchase.
I mean, you could also use Cortana dictation, so you could be playing a game and talking and getting Word, and Word will just listen and do the thing for you. we should do this. Can
you imagine how little work people would get done if it was like you're literally on one device. You've like took up like a 22-inch or even bigger, like just a nice monitor or even a TV, honestly, to your to your Xbox One, and then literally you're doing your homework, and you get an Xbox Live invitation to play Halo 5.
Well,
literally, it's not like a text message from your friend. It's literally click to the right, and you're already playing. It's like you're
loads up. It just slides in game.
Then you can have Snap. You can have Snap Word in the upper right-hand corner. And then your mom's like, "Hon, are you doing your homework?" And you're like, "Snap Assist, away!" And then it's like, "It's right here, Ma. It's right here."
Yeah, the world's productivity would drop.
You know, joking aside, that actually would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be.
Especially if it integrated with OneDrive, so then you could put like Word, like save a document on your Xbox, and then it's on your computer. That actually would be kind of fun. I don't think they'll do it, but that'd be nice. Can you do that thing where you tweet Phil Spencer just one segment of our podcast and give him this part?
We could do. Listen to us. We know what we're talking about. We will make Microsoft billions.
That's hard to quantify what we would make them, but someone will buy it and use our argument.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a legitimate argument.
Do you think if they brought mouse and keyboard, they are, but if it was for gaming like we're expecting, do you think people would prefer that, or do you think they'd try out the Elite Pro controller?
There's going to be somebody out there who would prefer mouse and keyboard over sitting on a couch and playing with a controller. I personally would prefer a controller. I mean, when I play PC games, PC gamers are going to hate me for this, but I do plug in the Xbox controller and play.
Well, the Halo Championship Series is the finals for Season 2 are today, actually. They start today and they go through this weekend. And, you know, those guys are great and they're phenomenal. I'm sure when the Pro Controller comes out, the league will make an official ruling on if people can use it.
It'll either be it's exclusive to that controller or not at all. Because, I mean, it technically does give you an advantage on some things. So.
And so I'm sure with mouse and keyboard can you imagine like if you had like a Halo Championship and one guy was on mouse and keyboard, one guy was on a Pro
Controller? It would be
controller?
Completely unfair because mouse and keyboard you technically have more precision, especially with a first-person shooter compared to a controller where you don't. Interestingly, the Elite controller, I may have a review unit coming soon, or I say soon in the next month or so. So I may be getting to try it out, and that's going to be really cool. I'm very excited.
I need an Xbox so you could do a review while doing a play with us.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, I think also I mean with professional gaming, the leagues work different. So it's not like everyone could afford those. You qualify in these matches and stuff. So you're not, and you gain sponsorship, but it's not like in the NFL, you got drafted by, the New England Patriots, and you just play for them and they have all the equipment for you. I mean, there would be people who say, I can't afford the same setup as these other people, so it would be unfair. But for home use, whatever, someone's going to pwn a bunch of noobs using a keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
Speaking of pwning noobs, you know who kills just about everyone in Halo?
Who?
Where's that photo? Ninja Cat.
The Ninja Cats. Microsoft did a lot with Ninja Cat this week.
Maybe we could just expand this to the whole marketing thing, but Ninja Cat, I love that Microsoft fans have this now. Do you have a sticker on one of your devices?
I have a sticker. It's not stuck to anything.
It's not stuck.
I don't know where it's gone, actually.
Well, I was trying to explain to someone the other day about like why, when you have like an Apple device, you get the little Apple sticker, and then Android, you get the little robot guy, and it's like Microsoft. I guess they could do Windows, which actually creates
a Windows sticker.
But that's a bit complicated because they're actually 4 independent boxes anyway.
Yeah.
You'd have to have like a clear back of the sticker and all that stuff, and plastic would show. Anyway, Ninja Cat, much more like you feel like a true. I almost feel like I'm obligated to go buy something with a Ninja Cat.
It's definitely a cool mascot compared to the other ones.
Got a Ninja Cat riding a fire-breathing unicorn, which most unicorns can't do that, I would add. There's a point. It's not. I mean, Rapidash, the Pokemon, can, but that's about it, really. It's usually not fire breathing with the unicorns. And then they've put these into they've embraced it as part of their upgrading thing. Here's a picture of Gabe Ole with a Ninja Cat on his bald head, which is great. And then all these other people. And then you also have like wallpapers. They're sending out, you can get like raw images of wallpapers with like T-Rexes with arm extenders chasing things, and it's just great. I love it.
Skype was updated to have an animation emoji of the T-Rex one, which is really cool.
Yeah. See,
I'm actually trying to get it up on the screen now.
Wait, there's an animation of a T-Rex chasing someone emoji?
It's the T-Rex running with the cat. Oh, have you not seen it? It was all over Twitter.
I haven't seen it running. I've seen the picture.
Yeah, it's running.
I've also seen the one where it's chasing Steve Ballmer.
There's one with it running, which is awesome.
Have you seen the one where it's chasing Steve Ballmer?
Yeah, I've seen it. That's what it looks like if you haven't seen it.
Okay, there you go. That's pretty unstoppable arm extending.
Yeah, that's not the moving one, but there is an animation. I mean, it's in Skype. I think I'll be able to show it to you afterwards.
Sweet.
But yeah, that's one of the 3 that they've released. I mean, that was the 4th one with it riding a unicorn. Is it the 4th one, or is that one of the 3? There's one with a unicorn. Yes, there's one with a cat riding a unicorn, fire-breathing unicorn. There's one with the is that a whale? What is that? A unicorn whale? I don't know what that is. With bacon on its a
narwhal. It's a narwhal whale. That's an actual whale. That one's not a fictional, except they don't usually skewer bacon with their horn.
Yeah, and then you've got the T-Rex one, which I think is the best.
And then people went crazy with this photoshopping, like that meme where like the babies, like the toddlers, like running away, and it's like, oh!
Yeah,
they've like photoshopped this, and then Steve Ballmer's like running away and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
this is fun.
It's very cool, and I mean, at least Windows or Microsoft has a cool mascot now. Nothing like what was his name, Clippy.
Yeah. Well, like mascots, or like Microsoft has been such like a business suit kind of company, where it's like bookworm guy.
Lately,
with
they're
the glasses. Not. What was that?
Lately, they've changed.
Yeah, I agree that they've changed. I don't view them that way anymore, but I think some people still do view them as like business, and it's like, no, HoloLens and Xbox and Ninja Cats and all that sort of stuff, and they're fun. And you got that guy was with his hat at the recent conference telling the crowd to cheer and stuff.
Oh yeah, the chef guy.
yeah, with the chef hat. Yeah. See, chef hats. I don't see Tim Cook with the chef hat.
No, that's true.
I haven't seen him.
No. So yeah, that is this week in a nutshell, really. Next week, a big week. Windows 10 launch. Good stuff there. I think we will be talking about that in detail next week. But for now, guys, thanks so much for watching. This has been the WinBeta podcast for the week of July 24th. I keep forgetting the date. I have been one of your co-hosts, Zach Bowden. You can find me on Twitter at ZachB_. And of course, you can find Sean Michael at
Sean_Michael_UK.
See? You can see it on screen now. So if you're an audio listener, I guess you can't, so that's why we keep saying it. But yes, that has been the WinBeta podcast. You can follow us, the WinBeta, WinBeta on Twitter at winbeta.org. You can find us on the website at winbeta.org. There is also Facebook, WinBeta, /WinBeta, SoundCloud, /WinBeta, and YouTube, /WinBeta TV, because somebody stole WinBeta. Grumble. But yes, thanks so much for watching, guys, and we shall see you in the next one. Bye-bye.